Just received this, what is this here? It's a Reese draw tight front hitch for my Ram 3500. Bought this one on Amazon. It was about, with tax and the Amazon free shipping here to Houston. This thing was like just about 230 bucks. I think it was 215 bucks plus tax. So not too impressed with the shipping on this. I've sent a video in already to the company. They just put it in a big box that was probably about a foot longer than the item, and it was about 4 times the inside diameter, or 4 times the outside diameter inside, and there's zero packing to protect it except for this piece of flimsy plastic wrap just around this part here, and that was only to keep this mounting hardware in the tube during shipping. So because of it, you know, you get a bunch of paint chip damage and stuff, so you're automatically going to start rusting right here. You got a bunch of it on the end pieces and all that kind of stuff here. So anyway, so I wanted to go ahead and I'm waiting for the company to respond. I'm sure they will. They're a decent company. I've bought stuff from them before. They'll probably do the right thing and give me a discount on this, so I don't have to send it back for free through Amazon and just order another one. Hopefully get a little better shipping on it. So anyway, I just don't want to rattle can this thing. You know, I shouldn't have to rattle can this thing. I just bought it, paid decent money for them to ship it up from Mexico. Anyway, purpose of this video is just to kind of document what type of metal or what is involved in the construction of this thing for future reference if anybody needs to know for their own purposes. And so here we go. Let's start out with these wings on the end here, the mounting wings, and those are going to go behind these brackets right here. So this is going to be 3/8 inch thick. Hang on. All right, there you go. So you're 3/8 of an inch thick on that material, and this sweep right here from outer wing to outer wing after the bend is 10.5 inches exactly to this edge right here. Kind of hard for me to document that, but when I push this up to that and I squeeze it really hard into that corner and then all the way to the end, you just have to trust me, it ends up being 10.5 inches. It's gonna be a little short in this video because I can't push it in with my knee being used as a brace. This is made out of 3.25 inch stock. So there you go, 3.25 inch wide. And then they cut this little bevel down here and taper it down until you finally get to the end. What I don't know is if this is necessary to fit inside the Ram here yet. I'm about to find that out here. I'll take my front end off to see if this transition is necessary or if it'll work just as well to just cut this whole piece. If somebody wants to DIY this just all the way around like that and not deal with these little swoopy angles. You know, big deal if you gotta use your grinder to mimic that, but if it's not needed for the Ram 3500, probably 2500, same thing, then why even bother with it if you're going to weld it up yourself? If you need to know, the cross section here is exactly 2 inches. This one is exactly 2.5 inches across there as they taper it down. So let me get the measurement from here to the point where they start to, actually from here to the inside of the bend. So from this end to the inside 90-degree elbow is 7.25 inches. It might be 7 5/16 actually, but you know damn well that's not an exact science on that part right there because your slotted holes take up the slop. And you'll just have to trust me that the measurement from this inside edge right here to this outside edge right here is exactly 3.5 inches. The distance from right here to right here is 29.25 inches exactly. So if you do the math, it's 28.5 inches worth of stock to go across there. 29.5 inches. Oops, sorry, I said it wrong the second time. 28.5 inches after you subtract the 3/8 inch for here and the 3/8 inch for here. So the way that they do this tube here is they do cut it into 2 separate pieces. So it's cut. So, you know, you don't need, I guess you don't need 28.5, so you need 28.5 minus the width of this. Hang on. So this is actually 26 inches worth of pipe stock coming across. I say pipe, tube stock, whatever you want to call it, square tube. 26 inches coming across. Make sure and account for your cut if you have to cut yours in half to accommodate what they've done there. So let's say 26 and a half plus a quarter if you can't find 2 pieces of cut off scrap to use is probably the measurement that you're going to want for that cross member. The one thing I cannot see is how thick this rectangular tubing is, but what I can see is that it is, here's the welded seam from the pipe manufacturer, but it also has this 45-degree bevel here, so I'm not sure if that helps to identify, but it's got a nice kind of like, it's not rounded, it's kind of like almost like a flat edge right there as it transitions. A little bit angled off, squared off, whatever you want to call it. Hopefully that helps you to see what I'm actually talking about. I'm not sure. Anyway, but I am fairly certain that we would find out that this is going to end up being 1/4 inch thick material. That's what they've used on other things before. This is just heavy duty for the mount, but right there's your proof, well, at least my proof that I've got 1/4 inch plate. Let's measure that out. So yeah, so I'm going to show you these measurements using the end of my tape. A lot of people don't trust their tapes for some reason, but I did double cross check it using the middle range here anyway on all my measurements, just so I've done that. So that's going to be 1/4 inch thick plate stock right there for this brace. I'll get you those measurements. So let's just let this video run here. So this chunk here is exactly 8 inches wide, and it is exactly, if you cut yours 4 inches that direction there, that'll account for, man, they're terrible welding. Just absolutely just horribly boogered up welding that they put on there in Mexico. I'm not too impressed. And then for your cut angle here, let's start at the, I like this sometimes when I'm doing these measurements. Oops. Start at the number 10 so I can actually see it easier. It looks like that should be 3 inches. Yep. This from this tip right here to this tip right here is 3 inches, so that'll help figure your taper if you wanted to mimic it exactly, of course. And let's see what they've done here. Probably 3. 1. So that's 2.5 inches from this corner here to this corner here. The outside diameter of this square tube here is, if I say tube and it's supposed to be pipe, forgive me, I don't care. But anyway, that's going to be a 2.5 inch outside diameter. This is 1/4 inch thick square steel. If that helps you to trust me on that measurement right there. This particular section, until you get to this cap right here, is going to be, if you did that 5, and it's almost 5.5, it's just shy of 5.5. So let's call it 5 and 3/8 inches from the butt here, right up to where they probably should have welded that plate on. Yours can be, of course, a hair longer if you want it to be. It's not going to hurt to be longer, just a little bit heavier. On the back side here, from where it sits here to where it is lined up with this square rectangle tubing is exactly 1/2 inch. So there's a 1/2 inch of material here before that straight back line starts. And this little strap is just 3/16 inch material, 3/16 thick, and that strap is exactly 6 inches long, bent, of course, in the middle. I guess that's just to act as a stopper so you don't run something into your radiator. And that strap is 1 inch wide material. The distance from this outer edge of this receiver to where that 1 inch wide strapping is cut off and hits the welded surface is 1 3/4 inches before the weld booger. Yeah, so that'll kind of help you figure out the angle of your bend. And if you wanted it to be the same, you'd have to fabricate one of these rings, or they also sell these on Amazon themselves. This is Boy, what's it, that 1/2 inch? Let's see. It's actually, hang on. So this is a 5/8 inch from the ass end here to the forward slope here. So 5/8 inch, whatever that material is. It does seem to overhang by a 1/4 inch. There's like a 1/4 inch lip here. So since this is 1/4 inch, this tube is 1/4 inch itself, which I can see by the, well, that we measured. Hang on a second on that. Yeah, so since that's 1/4 inch material and this overhangs by a 1/4 inch, it's just a cap that they put on. You can actually see the hollow on the back side of it down there. Right there, it's just it's like it's 1/4 inch material, 1/4 inch thick material that they bend around it. Do a terrible job of welding it, and then they may either just weld this shut and then grind it down smooth, or maybe they have a flat plate that they put on there and they weld up to it. But I think that there's a lot of fabrication done on the end there. They're not paying for caps to be done by somebody else. So now let's detail out as best I can where these are at exactly from. Let's go from this inside angle, since that should be a known measurement with the rest of our measurements that we already took. Yeah, so there's a little bit of taper here. So this measurement from this side of this receiver to this plane right here is 20.5 inches. But if you measure from the butt end of the receiver, the rear end of it, to this, it is, disregard that. I just measured out, it's 20.5 inches from right there to right here. It doesn't really look like a 90 here. A little deceiving maybe. I mean, it's a little bit off. But again, that's what the slotted bolt holes are for, I'm sure, is to take out the sloppy workmanship factor. So these slotted holes are 7/8 of an inch long, and they are 1/2 of an inch wide. And then with this orientation here, this in the picture here, top left hole from the outside of the receiver tube is going to be 15 3/8 inch. Hard to show on video exactly, but it's 15 3/8 of an inch. And then back that hole up by 7/8 of an inch right there, and that'll get you your measurements for that slot. The measurement from far left side on this, far to far right on this, is 5 3/4 inches exactly. So outside edge to outside edge, 5 3/4. From here to there is 7/16 of an inch to the start of that hole. From here to there is 5/16 of an inch. From here to here is 2 5/8 inches from outside to outside. Inside to inside, 1 5/8. And this should be the final measurement from the outside edge. This would be the rear of it to the outside edge. This is number 65063 is the item number. Is 43 3/4. It's maybe a 16th longer than that. 43 3/4 inches long. I'll get you there. Hope that helps.